and then kind of bring it down.
Okay.
You on mute, Jefferson. Jefferson, you are on mute.
All right, let's get started.
That's gonna make a difference.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with DB. We are extremely excited for this broadcast because we have an amazing guest with us. As you know, with Conversations with DB, our very first week, we had Sabrina Fulton, then we have Manushka St. Hill, and then we had your boy, Jefferson Noel, and now we have an incredible guest. She is also an FIU alum. Go Panthers, go Golden Panthers. She is an FIU alum. Her name is Erina Haile. So
Erina.
Yes. So I have Erina Haile, and I have a question for the audience. What does everyone desperately want? You may be hard-pressed to find the answer to that question, but Erina Haile believes everyone wants more. They want more success at work. They want more happiness. They want more passion in their relationships. They want more money, more energy, more productivity, and more meaning. And that's why she is a certified high-performance coach. A certified and listen, that's amazing because there's only a few hundred in the world.
Wait. In the world?
In the world, not only the state of Florida, not only these United States of America, but she is one of only a few hundred in the world, a certified high-performance coach.
That's big, incredible. Jefferson, that's big.
It's huge, it's huge. Also, she was a technical project manager and senior software engineer for Motorola for 13 years. What? And she actually lived in the United Kingdom. What? And she worked with Aon Hewitt.
She's global.
She's global, baby. And now she is a certified high performance coach. And you all know Dwayne Bryant already, the host of this spectacular conversation every Wednesday. He is changing the game. He is changing the world. He is changing our youth. And so we are honored to have Dwayne Bryant and Erina Haile with us. Dwayne, you got the virtual stage.
Hey, my brother, thank you so very much, Jeff. Thank you for that wonderful introduction because Erina Haile absolutely deserves it. So Erina, Lord, he got me messed up with Erica. I'm like, Erica, who is Erica? Erina, how you doing today?
Doing great, Dwayne. How are you?
I am fantastic. Now you're calling all the way in from Spain. What is the weather like? What is the temperature? What is the atmosphere like in Spain?
Well, Spain is incredibly diverse. I am actually in the south of Spain where we're very close to the Sahara. And this time of year, it is desert heat. Hair blowing sometimes because there's a fan running, the aircon running. It's gorgeous. I mean, the skies are blue. The light is out until 10 o'clock at night.
What?
It's gloomy hot. It's like.
Wow. When does the sun rise?
The sun rises at around, I think, 7:45, around there, like normal time.
Okay. Wow, that is nice. So listen, I know you personally, but everyone who watching does not know you. So what I want to do is go back to the day I met you. I was a senior at FIU. I'm on campus. I see the cutest little lady walking with her little arm flailing. And I'm like, who is this little person? And so we got a chance to meet each other. I called you Erina, you called me Wayne. So how was your college experience? Did you enjoy FIU? Were you ready to leave it? Did you want to stay longer? What was your college experience like at FIU?
Wow, that's a loaded question, isn't it? I think by and large, great. You know, it was a growing time. There was a lot of focus on, obviously, I was in a scholarship, so I needed to make sure you're making the grades. But at the same time, you had the freedom of being in university. Suddenly, you know, you're in high school, you know, the roof of your parents. And my parents were particularly, you know, African parents. I am of Eritrea.
So they were very strict.
Very strict.
I remember that. Your mama did not play.
No, it was all about school. So it was a period of adjustment of like that freedom, sudden freedom. Nobody's looking over your back, or you have a car suddenly, but at the same time making sure that you're not in the pit hanging out during a biology class that's at 12:30. Do you know what I mean? The peak time.
Yeah.
How your lungs there are here. So, but in time, I got used to it. I got my head back straight and ended up majoring in computer science. And I was also an RA, worked at the career services office. You and I kind of wear sort of random circles, more or less, Black student unions, all of that stuff. So it was an amazing and a growing experience, but fun and pain, I would say. So.
Yeah, understood. Would you recommend college? Because a lot of people now are saying, why go to college? You amass this college debt. So some people are really speaking against college. For the viewers who may be in high school, who may be parents thinking about college for their children, would you recommend college as a viable option, or do you not recommend it?
I am still of the mindset that I think going to at least 4 years of university is very important.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, no matter how skilled you are, still people are looking, although we're moving away little by little, especially in the technical fields, right? So you can be a brilliant programmer and make all kinds of money with really just having learned programming on your own, right? Without university experience. But I think it definitely still gives you that credibility. People still look for that. And I think it's really important. It's very, very important to have that education. And also, like, it's also formative. Like I just told you right now, like coming out of high school, there's a lot of growing up I had to do, in university. So
what was a major shift? What was the major shift coming out of high school to the university?
The major shift for me, I would say, coming from out of high school to university was just balancing, just having come from a household that was all about education only, and then the world opens to you. So it's about you grow. Like, how do you balance everything? I mean, I was working, I used to be a waitress at So like, I think like, then it's like, you get a real flavor of what life is like, especially if you're driven and independent like I was. Like, so I feel like it really is your first taste to what is life. You get to apply for credit cards and all kinds of things. So you would miss out on so much. So college is not just about getting that degree, but there's so much life experience, basically.
Absolutely. And my memory, you were always driven. You had a job, you were focused, you were involved, but you didn't just major in some little basket weaving stuff. You majored in like serious high-tech engineering. Why did you choose such a difficult degree? And what have you done with that degree since graduating college?
Yeah, I'm telling you, FIU was an adventure. So initially, I didn't know what I wanted to major in. So I kind of did trial by error kind of thing.
Okay.
I want to stay a little bit longer than it needed to be. So I decided on finance, and I took my first finance class, and I was like, oh no, right? So I was
and that's funny you say that, because I majored in finance and I loved it. I could not do engineering.
So that was it. But that's the thing. Like, a lot of times people will leave engineering to go to, other majors. So, but leave it to me, right? So then I started to do some research. I was talking to some counselors. I did some investigation in terms of like, how can I get hired when I came out? I didn't really, I'll be honest with you. Like, I was very, I don't like, I didn't want debt. Nobody likes debt, obviously, right? But I was very mindful of that. Like, I feel like owing people money or anything really for that matter kind of leaves a lot of things, make sure that they're mercy, so to speak. So I had that mindset, like, where I'm smart, I can do this, and I want a good job when I come out that's going to pay me well. So through some research, I ended up in ECS, Engineering and Computer Science Building.
Wow.
Line me up. And
wow.
It wasn't.
But you still had to be smart, because you don't just walk to engineering and computer science and just like I thought I was smart, but if I had gone to engineering and computer science, it'd have been like, dude, I am not doing this. So did you have a natural desire for that? Or was it like, hey, I know this will maintain me and sustain me, so this is what I'm going to choose?
I would say it was more logic, like the latter, than a passion for mathematics or engineering.
Okay.
I was good, but I also put myself in a position, because I'd done a lot of the prerequisites and such. I was actually taking like 15 credits of like course work. So I was so stressed out, you know what I mean? But,
I remember that. You were always running. I mean, like literally. like, girl, slow down. And I'm gonna see you like, hey, I done got my career. I'm going to Jefferson. I'm straight. You're like, I don't have time.
Yeah, it was a major lesson on time management, which you know, you can't help it. You're working, you're taking like, you know, 15 credits of like literally like calculus 2 and, you know, physics, very hard, you know, courses.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, I really do believe in that challenges and hardship can really either break you or make you. And I chose, like, I wasn't going to be defeated type of mindset. So it was more logic to go back to your question. It was just about, this is what makes sense. This is what I need to do. I'm just going to kind of, you know, bite the bullet and go for it.
Yeah. You just said something very interesting. You said hardships can either break you or make you. You were on vacation. I think you're in Ethiopia. You can tell me if that's not correct. And you had a major hardship that literally changed your whole life. What happened in that moment?
Yeah. So we were in Eritrea, which is my, you know, motherland, which is, and it was actually my first time.
Oh, wow. Going home.
Yeah, it was incredible. And it's so apropos what you're asking, is it's so related. And it was a time at a very high time, right? Like this was at a time where everything was going so well. You think you're on top of the world. And we were actually just seeing, so Eritrea is one of the, you know, older civilizations similar to Ethiopia. We're just north of them. And basically these were ruins that date back to the Ottoman Empire, Turkish.
Wow. Give me a time frame. What time frame is that?
God, I don't even know. It's probably
BC? AD?
It probably is BC.
Okay.
I would say it probably is BC.
Okay.
But it's really old. You know, the Ottoman Empire, obviously, when they were, you know, in their heydays, they were all over that region.
So we know it's at least a couple, if not a few thousand years old.
For sure.
Yeah, we're not talking about a country that's just a couple hundred years old. Got it.
No. It definitely is a lot of history. And so we are like, hey, we're in our own country. So it was a group of 6 of us. And we're like, we might as well, you know, like, it was so cool to be home and to do logical things. And we were on the way back to the city, back to the center. And and our bus, our van went off 87 meters, 300 something feet off a cliff. It's very jagged.
How many of you were in the van?
6 of us.
And it went over a cliff.
It went off like
300 feet.
Yeah. Jeez. And it just, I mean, if you see the terrain of Eritrea, it's just the capital is on 8,000 feet elevation. So it's a very mountainous and very rugged terrain. But I survived what somebody next to me with whom I was sharing a headset, like a ear, you know what? He died, I survived. And 4 out of 6 of us basically passed on. And it was just such a dark time. And I think that I would say for the first time in my life, I'm like, okay, this has brought me to my knees. Like I just couldn't, you can't reconcile it. There's so many things. There's, you know, loss of loved ones. There is survival guilt. There is like, how could this happen? Like, how could this happen? I said, you know what? You never think it happened to you, right? And so it really takes you to, it brought to surface a lot of things, a lot of even other stuff, old trauma, old crap, you know, everything just comes up as a result of that confusion. I was concussed for a while. Do you know what I mean? So in any case, so from that hardship, again, it was the same question I asked myself. Either you're gonna allow this to break you, go down the depression route and just kind of like just give up, or you can fight. And I chose to fight. I chose to fight.
So you were not just with random people in the van, you were with friends, family, loved ones.
Yeah, it was 3 friends, and the other 3 actually worked with the company, with the tour company.
Wow. So how were you able to pull yourself through that? You mentioned survivor's guilt. What is survivor's guilt?
survivor's guilt is like when you survive such a near-death situation like that, where there's an element of like, oh my God, like I survived and they died. You feel badly. Like there's almost like, you know, it's not a win or lose kind of situation, but it's almost like, oh my God, like why me? Like why was I saved, and why did somebody I love so much, you know, somebody that I was, you know, like somebody very, very special to me died. And it kind of throws you for a loop. You experience all kinds of emotions. And it's just like that. Why me, and why them, and why did I survive?
So after that experience, which is absolutely tragic, and I'm so sorry you had to experience that, then you went on a journey. What was this journey that you went on?
Well, I didn't I didn't choose to go on it, I suppose. But I think
or did the journey come for you?
It did. It actually did. So like I said, I know this is a little bit Oprah, but it's kind of like you're at a crossroads.
It's okay. You can be Oprah for a second.
But I mean, I think what it was for me was, it was very much like I said, like either you're gonna beat this and come out better. There was always this element of like, you survived this for a reason. You got a second lease in life for a reason. So I have, you know, a deep spiritual belief and a connection with it being higher than myself. So therefore I'm thinking like, this can't just be like, you suddenly, you know, somebody just kind of picked you out of this madness. They literally almost left me when the people came to rescue or collect the dead, I guess. Like they thought I was actually gone as well. And I don't
Oh, wow. So you were unconscious. You were not moving around.
No, I was totally, I don't know. I think they were just collecting. Again, that's the whole thing, because we were like in the middle of nowhere. There's really not a lot of evidence. There's really not. So I'm very much in the dark, and I'm, like I said, I'm one or two who survived. And then the other guy that survived was much worse than I was. So in terms, like, there's really no record of what happened. But again, maybe it's better left that way, right? So I kind of looked at it like, okay, you know, it was just as simple as that. Either go down the route of like, oh my God, you know, I'm just gonna, I don't know, crumble and fall, or I'm gonna bring myself together and keep it moving. But what to kind of go back to what I was saying in terms of like, it shows me the journey. It really like, I just started to examine certain things that I normally wouldn't. A lot of things just start to, either things didn't make sense anymore, or like, you know.
So what things didn't make sense anymore? So what was that process like?
That, for instance, I'll give you an example. A lot of relationships, for instance, you just realize, you start to question the authenticity of, you know, relationship. You know, people who you think care about you, maybe they don't as much as you think they do, or like you realize relationships are kind of imbalanced or something like that. You start to question, what is the meaning? Why am I here? Like, so that's when I think started questioning, like, it's brilliant that I'm working for this huge, you know, Fortune 200, I think they were at the time, you know, company, you know, earning money, you know, like there's a lot of positive things with that, but really, like, ultimately, is this what I'm here to do? Like, it's kind of like, you got a second shot. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, Purpose was calling you. What am I here for? So before we get into the purpose, I want to go back to the relationship thing. What did you discover? Did you discover that the people in your life were really true and meaningful? Did you see that it's kind of, you know, I can take them or leave them? Were there diehard people that stayed, or were there people that you may have thought were diehard that really turned out not to be? Because I think as the people are listening now, we are in a pandemic. And so people are also figuring out who is real, who is not, who is supportive, who is not, who's talking about supporting, who's pretending to be supportive, and who really just want to keep you where they want to keep you. So how were you able to reckon with all of that?
It was hard. It was yet again another death, another collective death, because what ended up happening, I think, is just, and it's so, you're exactly spot on in that what's happening right now is really, you're going to get to see who's really looking out for you, who's calling on you to check how you're doing, not just with the pandemic, but with all the civil unrest that's going on in the States, around the world even. And you really get to see who really is just, you know, picking up the phone and saying, how are you doing? Consistently following up, and, you know, let's I want to see you, or even kind of even going there, talking about the uncomfortable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of people tend to shy away, or maybe they just don't care. And I think at the beginning, for me specifically, it was a bit of a denial, because you think like these people are like ride or die, like, and then you find out not so much, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
so are some of those people family members as well, or is it pretty much just friends?
family, some friends. I mean, I like it just kind of like there was a time, and I think it was even more difficult, especially with people that you related to, right? Because I don't know, maybe I was just in my own illusions, you know, but I think I started to see people just really for what they are, for what they bring to the table, and how we get on together, and what they mean. If I mean to them as what they mean to me, and you know, if it's healthy, I think it's okay to examine that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always going
I
to
think
be.
you have to. I think you should examine that all your life. Because if you don't, then you leave people there just because they've been with you for this amount of time. But if they're toxic, then do you keep them just because they are grandfathered in, or do you get rid of them, or do you transition them, or do you tell them that you're at a different place in life and you need something differently from them? What is your recommendation with that?
At this point in time, I think at the time I couldn't have articulated, because I was in such a great deal of confusion in terms of what my needs are, to say, hey, you know what, this is not working for me. I think the smart thing to do is always to give people the benefit of the doubt, right?
Okay.
Because you don't know what's going on with them. Half the time they might not even realize that they're doing what they're doing, right?
Right.
So I think it's really is important, and this is where a lot of courage comes into play, for you to go to places where things are uncomfortable, for you to kind of say, hey, you know what, this is how I feel. Now, if as a result of you telling somebody, you got all the answer you need, you know?
Yeah. So if you go to them and tell them, and they're like, look, I can care less about what you're talking about. This is how I am. I know you. I've known you for this long, and pretty much I'm not worried about what you're talking about. It's what I'm talking about. Then what do you do there?
See you later. It's been real.
Okay. All right. So then you said express to them, because right now, believe it or not, you're coaching everyone who's watching right now. So what if the person is able to hear you? Because I think a lot of times when people talk, people are not listening to what they're saying. They're listening to respond instead of listening to truly understand what the person is saying. So if the person can hear you and understand, then how do you navigate that terrain?
I think it's so important to be empathetic, honestly, like approach the whole conversation with a level of empathy, really trying to understand, while what you're trying to do is get your needs met, try to understand where their mind is, right? So really approach it from a perspective like, this is, you know, what's going on with you? Like really show interest. I think that's a major, so you're right, this is coaching in a way, because we talk about influence.
Yeah, we've started already.
About influence quite a lot in coaching. And now in influence, I can stomp around and say, hey, Dwayne, you know what? I don't like the way you talk to me. I don't like the fact that you don't call me and I'm doing all the work and da-da-da, right? If I come at you like that, your reaction is going to be like, well,
defense. Yeah.
I'm going to put your dukes up, right? So, but if I approach you like, hey, Dwayne, you know, I love our relationship. Do you know what? Like, if I approach you in a way where I am trying to be empathetic, like this is what I would like. Can you tell me, like, you know, just have a conversation. It really is not that hard. But if you're afraid to talk to somebody, go there anyway. And let them make it easy for you to make that decision. And I think a lot of times people are willing to say, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
So you're saying then in relationships is not so much, and we've heard this for many years, is not what you say, it's how you say it. And I just heard you say, when you go approach it, you go in telling them how you feel, not this is what you did, because it seems like you're making them wrong and they become defensive, versus this is how I feel when you, is that a better approach? And how do you do that? Because sometimes that's difficult. That's vulnerable.
That's where you have to go though. If you really find out, you know, if that relationship is important to you. Now, I personally, and this is my personal belief, right? Not every relationship merits that. But I think that if you are invested in this relationship, they're important to you. You still want them to be a part of your life, because in some ways, by you saying, you know what, forget you, you're also denying yourself of something you want. So if you want it, why should you deny yourself of that, right? So the best thing would be, to approach them and to kind of allow yourself to be vulnerable and imagine, like, what's the worst that can happen? What are they going to say?
Got it. Got it. So how did you get into elite high performance coaching? Because what I understand, it's only a couple of hundred of you all around the world. So you're not, you know, you can't find you on every corner. So how did you get into this? Why this particular segment after such a high tech type of background and career?
Exactly. Right. So earlier, I think I mentioned that me going into engineering was a lot of head. It was like, what happened now? It's what you need to do. And I worked in the tech field 16 years. And I realized that it wasn't really enabling me to contribute at the level that I want to contribute in the world, especially post the accident. I'm like, there's got to be something bigger I'm here to do other than make corporations rich, which is what it is. And it's not like an affront on them or anything like that, which I think that because I was able to work in these corporations, that opened so many doors for me, which is why I could sit here from my home.
Absolutely. In Spain.
You know what I mean? And because it opened all of these doors for me, it's like you sort of have to do your due. I believe in that. But the transition came when I was in London. I had actually, again, expatriated a few of us to London to take on this huge project that we had. And I worked myself to the bone, to the point where I think, again, another opportunity when you are at a high point and things are not right in your life is such an amazing opportunity to question, like, why am I doing all of these things? So when the project was over, I was so just exhausted and disillusioned, actually, because what am I doing all of this for? And I think, you know, a lot, like, and then you realize you're just a cog on the wheel. You really are just a cog on the wheel.
Wow.
You know? And so I traveled for a year. I took a sabbatical and I'm like, I'm out of here. So I traveled by myself.
So were you still with Motorola at that time?
I literally took at this time I was in London. I had finished a project in London. I was with Aon Hewitt at the time.
Okay.
And I was just so fried. Literally, I knew, like, I just needed to pause.
Wow.
So I traveled around the world.
Where did you go?
All over.
So you have to take us on your journey, because trust me, most Americans do not travel. And if they leave the country, they go to the Bahamas, and that's their international experience. So take us with you. Where did you go? What place did you like the most?
I'll tell you. Well, P.S. You guys are, like most Americans who are not traveling, you are so missing out on so much. And one major takeaway for me from my travel experience is, like, you know, the world's not going to open its mouth and gobble you up. Here I am, you know, like I literally just had a small carry-on because I was limited. I needed to just be very, very mobile, you know. So I started in London and all Europe, you know, you name it, from Switzerland to Portugal.
So how did you go? Via train? Did you fly? Did you backpack? I mean, I've heard so many different ways.
I didn't backpack. I did slow travel though. So to the extent I would take trains within country. Like when I came to south of Spain, I traveled around in buses. I mean, they're really nice and cushy, actually. And it's an opportunity.
And do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, I do. Well, we're from Miami. Well, I'm from Miami. You're from Miami.
Okay, sí. So, ¿aprendiste español en Miami o en España?
Y hablé un poco en Miami, pero ahora en español, en España, bueno.
So, ¿hablas español fluido ahora?
Claro, fluido, sí.
¿Usted tiene familia allá o no?
Aquí en España.
Sí.
Claro. Adopted family.
Okay, in English.
So anyway, so all through Europe, which is amazing because there's these 26 Schengen countries, so you can kind of move about without any. It's kind of going from New York to New Jersey. It's like nobody's gonna stop.
Wow.
Which is kind of like nice movement.
So the countries are that close together.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Do you know that, like, from the time it takes to get out of Florida from Miami to
that's 8 hours.
You can literally, like, go from here to the UK, like from Spain to, you could drive within that time. It's crazy. Like, yeah, it's really nice, but also, like, I wanted to get myself in situations where I'm uncomfortable. Here's a very important point: being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's so important. And
You said being comfortable with being uncomfortable. What does that mean? And why would anyone want to do it?
that is the only way you're gonna grow. Continue to push yourself to explore the things you don't know about, but you're slightly even curious about. That's like, like it's on the other side of your comfort zone is where growth is. Consistent. Because if you want to stay consistent with where you are, with what's familiar and things like that, you're not really going to grow to your full potential, which is where the coaching thing comes into play. But anyway, so I finished, did few countries in Europe, and then I went to Southeast Asia, which I'd never been. I went to Thailand again, kind of gotten with the people.
Is Thailand as beautiful as they say it is?
Gorgeous. And I went to Indonesia, then I went to Africa and taught in Tanzania, went to
really?
Kenya and safaris. It was brilliant. Like I did so much.
Yeah.
And by myself, like this was solo travel.
Really? You went by yourself?
The entire year. So
okay, so time out. Now we're gonna talk to women, because I know a lot of women say, I wouldn't travel by myself because it's dangerous as a woman. First of all, you're not a woman that's 5'8", 5'9". You might be 5 foot or you might be 4 something. I don't remember. But so you're a little lady. Where did this courage come from?
I don't know, Dwayne. I've kind of always like, I think there is some level of like belief in yourself, and there's some level of like in a way, like where, I mean, you have to be smart, obviously, right? Like you have to be research, you have to talk to people. But I think a lot of times, like for instance, when I was in Southeast Asia, I didn't speak any, like, and I was in parts of Thailand where there were not a lot of expats and English speakers. So like you smile, you point at things, and you get on, and that's how we communicate. Like how do, like there is a lot of communication that is done that doesn't involve language. So again, you have to be smart about it.
Now, what do you mean? Are those nonverbal cues? Are people like watching you? Are you feeling a certain thing? Are you feeling danger? Are you feeling peaceful? What are those nonverbals?
Presence. Like you consistently have to be present. So you're always alert, not paranoid, but alert. Your ability to make eye contact, to be able to pop into, I don't know, some local shop and kind of like point at things and smile and say, I need this. And maybe, and actually it enables you to create, to step out of your comfort zone and make friends. Whereas before you just kind of like, imagine you're traveling with a group of your friends. You're probably not going to talk to anybody else because
right.
When you're traveling solo, it's an opportunity. We're human, we're social beings, so we always consistently are looking for community.
Correct. That's very true.
Yeah, so you're gonna try to find your community one way or the other, and you put yourself in situations sometimes where you might not know, but you'll figure it out when you get there. And that's sort of.
But did you speak the languages of? That's a lot of places.
No, I did not.
Really?
No, I was like. I mean, I did not, and like in Indonesia, I did not. In Thailand, I did not. Even in the south of Switzerland, where was I? In Switzerland, Davos, where they have the World Economic Forum. It's just like a small skiing town, and they speak this Swiss Deutsch. It's like a German, like it's a mix of anyway. But like you just smile and hope, and I stand out. A lot of places you stand out, like you.
Well, clearly, Switzerland, tall, white, blonde, and here you are.
Yeah, and so like and also like I think it's also being comfortable with the fact that you probably are going to be stereotyped.
Correct.
And things like that. So it teaches you so much. If you can navigate that, you can navigate anything else. So, yeah.
Interesting. So question, on the brochure, we stated the one thing that the whole world wants is more peace, happiness, passion, love, health, wealth. How do we get more during a time of a pandemic where it seems like people are losing their lives, where it seems like now in America, racial tension is at an all-time high? How do people get more? But before you answer that question, I want to put a question before that. What does America look like to the world, or the world outside of the US? Because I'm assuming you guys get news as well. What does America look like?
You really want to know?
I really want to know. Because see, we usually Americans think the world centers around us. And so we're not usually worried about what people think about us. when I traveled abroad, that's when I began to reflect on what we look like as a community, as a Black community, and then what America looks like as a whole. And it was very interesting. So what someone who's living outside of the country, what does America look like?
Yeah. Not only someone who's lived outside of the country, but also has traveled around the world. So I think that American romance is dead.
Say it again?
The American romance is dead in terms of like,
idealism of America.
Like, because now all our business is out. Everybody could see. I remember I was in Eritrea after Katrina. And and people saw, all these reports.
Oh yeah.
People get CNN in Africa, everybody, so they're like, that really happens? And I was like, that's a reality. So then suddenly, despite the fact that unfortunately a lot of and I think a lot of Americans who perhaps think like America is the end all be all are the ones that have not left, that have not.
Yeah. I left a city that everyone thinks is the greatest city in the world. And I asked them, have you ever been anywhere else? And most of them haven't. Right. So, yeah.
So a lot of people are confused by why Americans are so proud. They ask me like, why does everybody hang up American flags in front of their house? I'm like, I don't know. I grew up in Miami, which is another world altogether.
Right.
First state. But I think the perception is like, America, there is some level of like, I don't know. It's a little bit of a turnoff. Like people are like, yeah, there's so many places I want to travel before I go to the States. Not even New York, not even Miami.
Wow. Yeah, and that used to not be that way. It used to be, I want to visit America. I want to be in the land of the free, the heart of the brave. Now you're saying it's like that was an illusion.
Precisely, because basically the curtains have been pulled. Do you know what I mean? So
so the world can see America's dirty draws.
Precisely.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And I'm not going to get into politics or anything like that, but obviously, what's going on in terms of, the policies and things like that is just ridiculous. So their perception is like, well, we're not so bad. Why would we want to go there?
Right. Right. Absolutely. And if you're a person of color, you may be a little bit more afraid because with all the police brutality and things of that nature that's broadcasting. Is that also being broadcasted around the world?
Everything. About all the demonstrations that are going on in the
and they're global, actually.
All that, but even here, I went to a demonstration. I'm in the south of Spain. Spain didn't colonize any African nations that I know of. I think but Portugal, Italy, all those did.
Yeah, Portugal, Italy, British, France, a whole bunch of Germany.
So I would imagine those stuff, but I think the movement is so big because it's about humanity at this point in time. You see a man's life being taken right there on video. It's just because at the end of the day we are one, right? Like it doesn't matter like what color or whatever. It's at the end of the day we are human beings. So when you see that happen, you got to call out what's wrong. It is wrong. And they see
interesting because see, for the longest, Black Americans have thought nobody cares about us. And to see 60 countries around the world are demonstrating, and they're demonstrating for what happened to us here. That's like, wait a minute. So then why do you think other people from around the world would care what happens to a Black man in Minneapolis or in Texas or in Florida? We can probably name every other state as well. Why would the world care?
Because above all, a Black man, a father, whatever, all the stuff that he is a human being. And that is the connection. When you see a human being's life taken for no good reason, that's right. That was a lynching, and that was just televised, right? So of course, like it's a visceral reaction because you're seeing it, and it's unjust because people know what is just and what is unjust. So obviously people are going to talk about that, and it's like a repetition, one after the other. Every single week, somebody's getting killed. So it just has like reached a boiling point where it's just like, okay, enough is enough. So I think it's amazing. It's not so much as like, hey, it's been happening for hundreds of years, right? It's not like suddenly, I don't think it's a sudden awakening. What I think is like, it's just reached, a boiling point, and this is it.
Correct. So tell us then, for those of us who are tired, we're tired of racist systems, we're tired of inhumanity. How do we get more? How do we get more passion? How do we get more health? How do we get more wealth? How do we get more purpose in our life? I want to hear from the elite coach. How do we get more in a pandemic?
You have to be intentional. I'm gonna get a little bit into that because I know it's very general. I think the pandemic, first of all, is an opportunity, to be honest with you. Because it's like I said, like you can either take a pause because you want to take a pause. Like I had the privilege to actually say I'm going to take time from work and go travel around and let me process everything and things like that and kind of gain perspective. Or you can be forced to take time off when you're on a lockdown and you're there for 3 months.
Right.
It's also an opportunity to do the same thing. Once you get over the freak out factors like, oh my God, what is happening to us? I need all this toilet paper.
Did you stock up?
I mean, come on, no. But
I know you're natural, so you probably like using the old corn on the cob. Anyway, keep going. I'm listening.
I didn't expect. But the point I'm making is, it was an opportunity. So, for instance, I mean, I think once you kind of deal with the shock of what was going on. Mm-hmm. I really thought it was an amazing opportunity. So I was actually literally on my social media and my Facebook groups, and I'm like, this is your chance to get your stuff together. This is your chance to kind of really get ahead, to get clear on what it is that you want to do. So I feel in many ways, although there's a lot of lives being lost and there's a lot of tragedy that's actually happening as a result of the pandemic and subsequent unrest in the US, I think it really is an opportunity to kind of like examine yourself and say, what is my purpose here? Kind of like, it really is exactly about that. What are you satisfied with? Because I think with high performance coaching, that is exactly what we examine. It's just like, we all get to a point where we get to a certain level, and either you sit there and you're just like, oh, this sucks. You get into that complaining mode. You don't know which way to go, or you want to level up and maybe you don't know which way to go. You don't have the support you need. There's a number of things that happen. And I think the reason for why you talked about being one of a few hundred elite coaches in the world, it's because it's a brilliant curriculum. It's very much structured. And it basically, every single time you meet with somebody you're coaching, your intention is there to push them, to challenge them, to level up. That's always forward looking. Like, where do you want to go next? And that's how we can actually benefit from this time off, to kind of like get clear on like, okay, this is what I'm doing in life. Am I happy here?
Yeah.
I would also say a lot of people would say, oh, I'd be happier if one more thing. If I was more fit, if I had a better job, if I had a better relationship with my family, with my friends, any number of things. Do you know what I mean? So it's about being really intentional about what you want, and then working. Be willing to do the work. Don't be afraid of the discomfort. Don't be afraid of doing the work. If you do that, there is no way you cannot contribute to the collective consciousness, which needs all our help right now.
Right. Whenever Jefferson pops up, that means you have some questions coming in from around the world. So what's up, Jeff? What's going on?
What's going on, brother? So we have a couple questions and a couple of statements.
Okay.
So what we were speaking about a couple minutes ago about how America is perceived around the world. Someone named Martha Bryant Hall wrote, "It was once called the ugly America, and it's repeating itself again." Someone named Maria Bryant said, "The world has experienced the arrogance of America." But to some of the statements that someone said earlier in questions, David L. Cole, he said, "Erina, so proud of you."
Hey, do you remember David Cole, Erina?
He is so proud of you and your accomplishments. He said, "You always showed such promise at FIU, and it's not surprising your path has been so successful." Steiner Anderson is enjoying the conversation, and he greeted
Steiner.
Hey. So Steiner actually has a question about education, or a statement. So he said, FYI, that university education gets your foot in the door regarding top positions at companies. And he said, "I was a director of IT, but only had a high school education."
Wow.
He was
Uh-oh, Jefferson, you're freezing up. You got to say it again. Is he frozen for you, Erina?
Yeah.
Okay. But this is neat, though. We'll wait. We'll give him a second to come back. This is neat because you have clearly a fan club that you left legacy at FIU. He's still frozen.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It's so good. I mean, you know, there was not many of us, but it was a tight knit group, right? So
yeah, it really was.
I remember us going to Virginia. Remember Williamsburg?
Yep. And, yeah, we had, listen, FIU, life has been good, but FIU, those 5 years were very memorable to me because coming from a little place in Winter Park, Eatonville, Florida, to see the world like in one place was amazing. So Jefferson, when your Wi-Fi get up, come back because we want to hear that question from Steiner. You unmute yourself.
Hey, brother, sorry, my internet went out.
That's okay. Hey, man, we jumped right in.
Right in. Good. So Steiner wrote, and I'm looking for it now. He said, the university education, a degree, gets your foot in the door regarding top positions at companies. And he was a director of IT, but only had a high school education, which is interesting. He said, but being a self-taught person only takes you so far. He said at least an associate's degree is necessary to move up the upper echelon. And so he's interested in your reaction to that.
Well, you know what? I'm still, like I said, I still stand with, and I think we're in agreement in that you need, I think, a university degree definitely to give yourself an opportunity to open the world up for you, right? But I will agree with what he said. When I was at Motorola, there was, it was a huge plant. It was a huge, we had like a factory and everything. It was 5,000 people. And there was people that worked in the factory. There was engineering, different division in engineering, different products that we made. And there were quite a lot of people that actually started out in the factory. Similarly, maybe like with a high school degree or something like that, you get to know people because again, it opens the door for you. But yes, you start at a certain place and then maybe you join an organization, maybe that's actually doing the product development, then you come in and maybe you start testing, and then next thing you know, you can work your way up. I agree. But I think that if you really want to go for it with no questions asked, I would say, why not? Like what? And again, let's also not forget the fact that it's not just about getting that piece of paper, but it's also the growth, you know, the development, like that. You would be missing out such a amazing opportunity.
Leadership opportunities, networking opportunities, relationship opportunities, expanding your family opportunities. You don't do that staying home.
So I would say, if you have the opportunity, like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I agree. So now come back, coaching. So now you're doing coaching. I think people fundamentally understand coaching is important when they're looking at LeBron James play basketball or Michael Jordan or, you know, high performing athletes. But I don't think people look at coaching as themselves as an individual, that we need a coach. And I agree. I believe we all need a coach in order to take it to the next level. So no matter how personally motivated we are, we all need someone, as you say, to level up. How do you convince the regular individual that they may need a coach? And is coaching a very expensive proposition? So I'm trying to figure out what are the barriers to keep people from thinking about and entering into that coaching relationship.
You're to be surprised. Many times the reason for why people will shy, a lot of people will express interest in being coached because it's exactly what you said. And you said high performance. Mm-hmm. You mentioned LeBron James and Michael Jordan. What I do is actually called high performance coaching, right? So it's not necessarily, I mean, there are some who actually coach athletes that are high performance coaches. That's not what I work with. I work with basically mission driven women in technology right now, mostly in STEM fields, because that's something there's a lot of systemic issues there as well that I would love to help support, right? So, but I think the reason for why a lot of people will shy away from it is because they, again, are not comfortable with being uncomfortable. So this process basically holds the mirror, and it does not allow you to be a victim. It does not allow you to kind of say, you know, we don't spend a lot of time and what had happened to you and what had happened was, and this is the reason for why. You got to sort that out for sure. But a lot of times it's about reprogramming mindsets and developing new habits and things like that, which is, I'm sure any, high performing athlete as well is probably what it does. It's about the commitment. So
why, if someone thinks they're fine just the way they are, how do they even know they have to redevelop a mindset?
I think a lot of people deep down know that they're not fine the way they are. In other words, people, if you have any desire, like if you tell me, hey, you know what, I would love to have that promotion, but I don't know how to talk to my manager. I haven't been able to get them. You need some coaching. Like you need somebody, because that basically means that either you don't have the courage to ask for it, or you don't know how to influence them. You're not talking them. We talked about influence earlier. You're not talking in a way, you're not presenting yourself in a way where you're demonstrating what is in it for them, where you're approaching them, like you're nurturing relationships and things like that. If you're having
coaching with Erina does what for me or for the individual that gets her coaching?
Coaching with me will get you.
Yeah.
And will actually get you to do the things that you say you want to do. It really is what that is about. It's about examining, like, where are you? First of all, what do you want? You'd be surprised. That's the first session in coaching. It's called clarity. And you'd be surprised how many people will tell you, this is what I want. And then you sit down for an hour with them. They're like, I don't know if this is what I want. I don't even know what I want.
So you're tap out. So you're saying people say they want this, whatever this is, but then they're not even sure that's what they really want.
They haven't really examined why they want it. And then under deeper examination, they realize maybe it's not what I want. Maybe I'm not maybe I'm not that invested to actually go for this.
Interesting. Well, see, that's a good revelation though, because if I'm thinking I want something and I really subconsciously or whatever it is don't want it, I'm really wasting time. So that's a beautiful first step of coaching. So one, they get clarity if they're coaching with Erina. So one, they'll get clarity. What else do they get?
The next thing is we look at your energy. And energy means everything, right? We're talking about mental, physical, spiritual, relational. We examine all kinds of energies.
All of that.
because how you show up in the world is going to determine, are you sleeping? Are you hydrating? Like, what are you doing? Are you always around negativity, or are you around you? This, it really is being conscious in your living, being intentional in your living.
How destructive is negativity? Because I think some people have been negative for so long, they don't even know they're negative. And the people around them may have been impacted by that negativity for so long that they don't even realize they have limited negative conversations. So how do you even break past that level of negativity?
You have to ask yourself why you are being so negative. Like, what is it serving? Because everything that we do actually has, and I know that, and this, by the way, coaching is very different from therapy. So when we sit down to examine that, if it's a behavior you don't like, then my thing is that we always bring, it's like me and my coaching clients are like, it's a team basically, right? So I'm advocating for you. I want you to win. Now let's figure this out. So if your negativity is holding you back, if somebody's, if you on your performance review, somebody says, hey, you know what, this person is difficult to work with, or shuts down every idea, or whatever the case might be, then for some way or another, this is serving you. So then serving some needing you. So then you got to examine that. And and then the next thing is like, how can you change this? So you do different exercises to practice, so you can start shifting toward where you are, maybe supportive more, maybe more optimistic, maybe support. Like, it just is a lot of self-examination. It really is about that.
I like what you just said. You said coaching is different than therapy, because I would assume in a therapy session, you sit down, you say all this stuff, and it's a lot of woe is me. Coaching seems like, no, get up off your AWS and let's get busy. Let's do the things that you said you're going to do. So is coaching like less excuses and more accountability and structure?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're making an excuse, you're basically holding yourself back. I would say another thing is that people don't want to, sometimes people are comfortable with kind of holding themselves back. Do you know what I mean? Because then you don't have to work hard.
That's comfortable. So then they're comfortable being comfortable. And what you try to do is get them comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes, Erina Haile.
Well, absolutely. Because I mean, think about it. If we're talking Dwayne, and I'm going to ask the questions in a way where it's going to be so obvious to you how ridiculous it sounds on your end, like, are you actually creating the situation? Because we do create our reality, right? At the end of the day, for the most part, right? Outside of like extreme situations. Now, let me qualify that. But I mean, in terms of, you know, if you're not getting ahead as much as you want to get ahead, but your weeks look like binging Netflix. Be real. And I think that's what it is. Just basically, I hold the mirror. I don't accuse. I just kind of facilitate. You're a guide. You really are a guide. As a coach, you're a guide, and you are, you know, you have a very different perspective of the third party, looking in from the outside, but also being supportive, right? So imagine, like, if you were to talk to your partner would be like, see, this is the problem. That's why you're no good at this. You know, you're like, there's none of that, right? Like for me, it's like, how can we level you up? How can we get you to where it is that you want to go? And then when you reach there, then how can we level you up? So really, as high performance coaching is like reaching these higher levels, sustaining them, reaching up, sustaining it. So then you're not doing this all the time. You know, the highs and lows.
Interesting. I was in Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, and they said most business have a bell curve. So there's a time where you start, you're making money, you're doing well, then you get here to the top of the curve, and then it may plateau, and then you very well may go out of business. So I'm thinking of what you just said. So what you do is when they get to the plateau, you create another curve, and then you create another curve so that they don't crash. And that's really neat. Now, you mentioned you work with high-performing women in STEM. So men, do they not come to you? Do they find a male coach? Is it better to be coached by the same gender?
No, not at all. God, no. I said that. It's just basically sort of my niche market. But I have male coaching clients that are entrepreneurs and engineers and things like that. I like to focus on supporting the women in STEM because there's a great deal of disparity within that industry. It's a very male-dominated industry.
Correct.
And again, it's just obviously it's a systemic. I guess I'm still part of that world, I guess, right? So it's a work model that was built without having women in it in mind, right? So think about it. Not only women, but so here's a criteria, and we're talking about what, 60s, 50s, that time frame. Who was in it? White, male, fully abled, heterosexual, right? I mean, so anytime you deviate from that, it's just like, what, right? So there's a lot of, basically a lot of bias that you have to endure. And it's damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. Like, so if you actually speak up and you're confident, then it's just like, you're bossy. If you don't say anything, then you need to speak up more for yourself. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, and with high performance coaching, I kind of like tailor it in a way where you can actually navigate that world and hold your own, you know, and influence, like, right, actually influence, create the ego want for these people to want to kind of support you. Same thing for any marginalized community, really. So no, everybody's welcome. I just like to—
How do they find you?
My website, erinahaile.com.
Spell it. We don't know how to spell that.
It's, well, I have the fan running. It's ERINAHAILE.com.
Okay.
And all the information is on there. Or you can follow me on Instagram, which I post all kinds of tidbits of information.
Really? What's your Instagram?
My handle is ERIBLISSWW. Eri Bliss WW. Eri Bliss Worldwide.
I said you're worldwide. So Eri Bliss, ERIBLISSWW is Instagram. So the people who can't afford your coaching, they can get tidbits of your coaching.
Well, the funny thing, Dwayne, I think around money, that's another excuse people make a lot. And let me tell you something. If you're willing to buy a Louis Vuitton bag or something like that, then you sure can invest in yourself.
I heard that. How long does coaching last? Do you give people a certain amount of time before you say, listen, you should be cut off at this time where you can grow and fly? Or do you try to keep them forever?
It's your call. The coaching program in and of itself, why it actually is elite is because it's a curriculum, it's a structure. Every session is outcome driven. So it's not like, hey, Dwayne, what are you working on today? How's it going for you? Did you get done what you said you're going to get done? Like, so it's not like that. Basically, like, working on clarity today. Let's get our hands dirty. So for that hour, so it's 12 sessions of examining your clarity, your energy, how courageous are you, how productive are you, what's your psychology, your physiology. We examine so many things. So there's 12 independent sessions. So it could be about 3 months, 3.5 months, depending on how we schedule it. But it's transformative. It's absolutely transformative if you're willing to do the work.
So instead of going to Tony Robbins, we can go to Erina Haile.
Yeah, basically, actually, my teacher, Brendan Bouchard, is like Tony Robbins is his.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. A buddy of mine, James Borchet, he swears by Bouchard. He loves him.
Brilliant. He really absolutely is. And it's like I said, like as an engineer as well, I have very much the mindset of like structure, data driven. Like if it's not backed by data, I'm like, yeah, this is not right.
Yeah.
So scientifically researched, and so like it's really is a solid thing. So I think that I would say the only requirement is somebody who's hungry and really wants to make a change in
You don't
life.
want to convince them. They need to be convinced before they call you.
It's not, if you need to be convinced, it's not for you, to be honest.
Yeah. I see brother Jeff is back. What you got for us, Jeff?
All right, so I'm still waiting on more questions from Facebook, but I actually have a question. So I was texting my friend earlier today, and I was saying, hey, I wish we had more than 24 hours in a day, because there's so many things to do, so many people calling and texting at weird hours of the night, to get things done. And so I'm like, I wish there was more time. And right now during COVID-19, a lot of people have been stuck at home, and they've always said, I wish I had more time to do what I want. I wish I had more time to fulfill my purpose or fulfill my dreams. And now they have the time, but a lot of people are not using that time wisely. So I know on your website, you say that you're saying that you can help people with time management because we fail to manage our time daily. So my question is, what can we do to manage our time better?
Yeah, time management is a big deal, right? I think a lot of times it's the distractions, right? So I have an amazing, in high performance coaching, the productivity session is brilliant, right? And I think that, like you said, there's an abundance of things to distract us. If you really thought about it, the majority of the things people are hitting you up for are probably not that important. But if you're clear on what you want, is that true? Is that why you're smiling?
No, it's always important.
To them.
I think there's something between you, but okay.
No.
Oh, okay. I felt like that was an inside joke.
No.
It can't possibly be. And if it is, then it probably falls under some major umbrellas. So for instance, there's this thing called a high productivity planner. And basically what it is, it makes you identify the 3 most important things that need to get done that day. The 3 most important projects that you have, for instance, right? So 3 most important projects and the 5 things that are actually going to move the needle forward. So we're always looking to move forward. So if in the course of the day, you're not allocating time to get these things moving forward because, well, there's another great idea, you're never going to like anything done. It's just going to always be like going to be spinning in the circle, which leads to frustration with self, which leads to I never have enough time. And it's just kind of like not a good cycle to be in. But if you say, hey, these are the 3 major things I want to work on, and these are the 5 needle movers, it could be simple. The simplest of things, by getting them done, focusing and getting them done. That's one thing, is identifying your goals and the needle movers for every single goal. You pick whichever ones, right? The other one, which is an amazing, amazing thing that really, really works, is called block time. So block time is...
You say block time?
Block time.
Block time.
And what block time is, when you're working, you set an alarm for 50 minutes or an hour. 50 minutes is good. Within that time, your phone is on silent. You are focused working on whatever it is you need to work on.
See, now you're talking to me, doggone, because I get distracted with a text, with an email, everything.
You know what I do? My phone is usually on airplane mode when I'm doing walk time. Notifications are off on my email on my laptop because these emails and text messages that are coming, are they moving you closer to? Are they needle movers?
No, they literally eat up so much time, Erina.
Yeah. So when you do block time, 50 minutes, bang it out. You just work, focus, nothing, right? And then alarm goes off, turn it off, get up. Just get up, go to the bathroom, have a snack, whatever it is that you need to go for a walk. But I think what that does is it gives you focus, and also it gives you rejuvenation. When you wake up, you're actually changing the scenery, and it really makes you even more productive. So you have to be ultra disciplined if you want to be, moving these things forward. And then you have to be discriminating. Not everything is worth your time, right? Not every mountain is worth the climb. So if everybody says, hey, do this, what about this idea? Then you just have to be like, this is where clarity comes in. In the grand scheme of things, what do I want to do in my life?
Ooh, you just changed something, because I was agreeing to do something that I really didn't have the time to do, and I really wanted to help a friend out, but I need to be creating more content for my own stuff that I'm doing with e-learning with DB. That right there was worth whatever I need to pay you. Let me know, because that honestly, that was powerful information. And a friend of mine has been telling me about block time, and she's been telling me like 25 minutes. I'm like, what can you get done? So I think that 50 minutes is the right time frame for me, because I can sit and work for hours, but I realized I'm answering a text and then this emergency comes up. So I'm doing so many different things. Block time. What you got for us, Jeff?
We have a loaded question by David Cole.
Uh-oh. Listen, if it's from David Cole, I know it's loaded already.
It's loaded, baby. So he said, we talk so often of purpose. Do you believe that someone can achieve true greatness without an understanding of their purpose? How do you assist people to discover or uncover their purpose?
Woo, that's loaded.
It's loaded. I told you it was loaded.
Yeah.
Do you need him to ask it again?
Yeah, ask it again.
Yeah.
Okay. So David L. Cole said, we talk so often of purpose. Do you believe that someone can achieve true greatness without an understanding of their purpose? And how do you assist people to discover their purpose?
Right.
It's a good question.
It is a brilliant question. I personally don't think that you could really achieve true greatness if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a mission. Like, there has to be something that is driving you. What is causing you to wake up in the morning? You know, what's causing you to do the work even when you're like, oh, I don't want to do, I'm so tired, I want to sleep in, I want to watch, you know, Netflix or whatever. Like, there has to be something so much bigger that is going to say, I got to get this done, because you know what, there's something else. So that's your big why. We call it like your purpose. Let's consider that your big why. Why are you doing it? Something bigger than you, in fact, I would say. A lot of times our purpose, in order to really, for us to kind of really like be driven and get it done, has to be something bigger than ourselves. Somebody that needs us, your community, family, like, you know, something bigger than you that you're really fighting for, that is worth fighting for. So I think, yeah, purpose is really important in order for us to be mission driven and you know, live up to our true potential.
Absolutely.
The second part of the question, repeat that for me again. I forgot.
Jefferson, what was the second part? See, they would be asking all that complex questions, man.
So the second part of the question is, how do you assist people in discovering their purpose?
Right, exactly. So that clarity, so there's actually a questionnaire, which I'm happy to share, by the way, Dwayne, with your audience. They can actually just fill it out for themselves. There's like no strings attached.
How do they find it?
It's on my website. It's called a reflection tool. It's called there's a link on my welcome page. Actually, there's a reflection tool.
And that's ERINAHAILE.com. You can take the reflection tool, okay?
Yep. I just grabbed the reflection tool and I'm posting it in the comments right now.
Boom.
It makes you really dig deeper. It asks you questions like the clarity bits of it. Not only beyond that, but what are the things that you wish you had done that you didn't get to do? Just like, you know, dreams that died. Like, it really makes you look inward and see. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people are just kind of like on survival mode, especially I think stateside. Like, I think capitalist societies generally kind of got us on a wheel, right? So you're just kind of like running, got to pay the bills, got to get, you know, kind of like keeping up. But what that reflection tool does is like, it kind of makes you pause and really like make you reflect on what is really important to me. And when you start to identify what is really important to you, then you start to find what is your purpose. You start, by the way, it's a journey. It's not like you suddenly find it, but you start to realize, okay, what needs to stay in my life and what doesn't need to stay in my life? What is serving me? What is supporting me? What's not supporting me? And so over time, you start to get some level of clarity, like, what have I come here to do? You know? And also, I would say, and this is personal for me, but the fact that I have a connection with, you know, with something bigger than myself, I'm always looking toward that. I'm like, there's got to be. So when I meditate, when I'm always like, okay, what can I do? Like, how can I serve, right? If you ask that question, if you consistently ask, how can I serve? There's no way you can miss your purpose. You'll find it one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm really loving this reflection tool. There's some questions that I love. On clarity, you ask, do you feel you are clear about who you are, your purpose, and the direction you want to go in life? With energy, you're asking, do you consistently have enough mental and physical energy needed to excel, accomplish your goals, and feel motivated and happy? On courage, you ask, do you take action and consistently express who you truly are and what you truly think, need, and desire with the world? I love this tool.
And dude, so that is amazing.
I know. So right now it's in the Facebook.
I'm going to get some coaching. Right now I got a lot of stuff happening, so I'm not going to do it right now because I got to get some stuff off of my plate. But I want to be able to breathe around late July. I'm serious. If you have a slot, I am coming, because when you told me what you were doing, I was really excited. But it's just been like I'm on that wheel right now, like very little sleep. And I got to get back into balance because there's so much happening. So I'm going to be one of your people. And I want to definitely have you to come back on, because usually I'm self-motivated and things. But I think no matter how great you are, what you've done, I think everyone needs a coach at some point in life to take them to that next level, because there's blind spots that we all have that we may not be able to see, that I think a coach can see around that corner for us and help us get there quicker.
For sure. Prioritize it, Dwayne. I mean, if it's that important to you, then you just have to make it happen.
Yeah.
I think it's like we do reach a plateau. It doesn't really matter. I don't care. It could be the highest of achievers. I think you do reach a point where you kind of like start to stagnate. And that is your cue to say, okay, well, what can I do? Because you don't have to do everything on your own.
Absolutely. And having a coach is so much better. Now, what about, I know a lot of older people in their 70s and their 80s. Does this work for them as well? Can they take life to the next level? Because a lot of folks are like, hey, man, I've done my thing. It's your time. You know, I'm relaxing, I'm retiring. What about that generation? Can they unlock a new level of potential? Or is it like they should be relaxing at that time in life?
Well, I'm relaxing. I mean, you're relaxing. Just because you're not relaxing, you're just probably relaxing more purposefully. You know, you're more intentional. I mean, I think this applies to anybody. Doesn't it? You know, I think the idea is that what does living purposeful mean to you? Doesn't matter. I mean, you could be like in the Greek Isles, and still be like a high performer, right? Like, are you living life to the fullest? Ultimately, that's what you need to ask yourself. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as you're alive, you could be a high performer. It doesn't matter. It's not like by. And I think that mindset actually is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
It looks like Jonathan Chastain, he's with us. He said the hungry people are still here. And he agrees with you, Dwayne. He said, I'm convinced I can't get anything done. Or let me rephrase that. My computer's going now. He said, I'm convinced I can't get done what I could with the coach. So he desperately needs a coach. Everyone desperately needs a coach. So he completely agrees with you, Dwayne.
Hey, yay. And Chastain is out in Seattle. He's another power guy. And it seems like no matter how great you are, powerful you are, just imagine Michael Jordan said himself, I would not ever be the player that I have been and could be without my coach, Phil Jackson. So even the greatest of the greats acknowledge that they need someone that they can coach. But it seems like you have to trust your coach. It seems like you have to believe that your coach have your best interest in mind and that there's a level of honor, integrity, and trust in that particular relationship. So Erina, once again, tell us, how can they find you? And tell us why everyone who's high performing, because obviously if you're not interested in doing much and contributing to much in life, you probably don't need a coach. Well, you actually do, but how can we find you? And what's your last words of inspiration and focus and intention for the people who are still listening?
Yes, so you hit on a very, very important point, actually. So not all coaching is created equal, and not all coaches are different. It's all about personality. So it's so important to find a coach that actually does gel with you, like you said, like that you get on together.
Yeah, you have to like your coach.
You absolutely do. And I think the coach also has to like the client.
Absolutely.
There has to be some energetic connection that you guys are on a similar sort of mission. Like, you know, like you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And the coach is going to show up for you 110%. So it's really important. So along those lines, definitely. So anybody who is watching right now is interested, even in exploring it. So initially, the first thing that I do in general, which is on my website, actually, there is, you have to apply for a discovery session call, which is free, right? So we sit down for about 45 minutes. You have to fill out this form, and some of the questions are like kind of introspective. Like, you want somebody who's really looking inward, like you said. High performance coaching is for everybody who is willing to do the work, who has the seed and the desire and the hunger to do more with their life. But it's just like, okay, well, what do I do? And where I come in is like, hey, let's talk about what you want to do. And here's a bunch of tools that you can actually use. Let's talk about that. Like in hearing yourself talk. So I think that is what I do. So Erina, ErinaHaile.com. Again, if you go there, you'll find where you can apply for a discovery session call. You can get more information. You can get the reflection tool, all of that stuff. All of this stuff is free because we're all at the beginning, we're establishing a relationship. Can we work well together? Because this will not work unless we are on the same team of the same
So they don't just choose you, but you also get to choose them.
It has to be that way. It absolutely has to be that way because it's a relationship.
It's a 12-session commitment.
It is. It's three months.
It's not a lot.
It's not a lot. It is, but actually, so the core sessions are 12, and then if you're like really gung ho, then there's another 12. That was when we get there. But the point is because it really is an important. It has to be like a very mutual desire, like relationship that's going to actually support the client. Ultimately, I want to serve. It's not about just the money, right? Like the money is obviously it's an exchange of energy, obviously, right? For transforming your life.
Yeah.
We have to pick each other. So that's one thing. And then I think in the end is just like want more for yourself. This is a thought that I want to leave with everybody with is that really want more for yourself. It's not selfish. Want more for yourself means eventually you're going to want more for other people. You're going to be able to serve on a grander scale. So, and if you don't want more, then really you can't grow anything. You can't grow your message. You can't grow your influence. You can't do anything, right? Like you're going to kind of stay in your own little bubble. And it's just like, and also examine if this pandemic gives you an opportunity to do anything. It's just like really like look at your life and say, oh my God, like it could come to an end at any, not to sound so depressing, but it happened to me, man, at the height of everything. I nearly lost my life and it was just an opportunity. So, but it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to be in a near death situation to examine your life. You're here on purpose. Try to figure out what that is and live up to that.
I'm sitting over here and I'm smiling so widely in my heart. From the freshman, when you came to FIU, I've been proud of you from the first moment I saw you. From this exact moment right now, I am so happy that your journey, well, I'm sorry for some of the tragedy, but I'm happy that your journey has taken you to where you are. You are absolutely perfect in who you are and what you've done. You talking to us today has been fantastic and amazing. We have to bring you back. I'm going to talk to you a bit more because I'm definitely going to sign up. You have my word. I am going to sign up. I just got to get some stuff off of my plate right now. And thank you so very much. For next week, Wednesday, we're going to have a group of men, powerful, dynamic men on the Iron Man. And we're going to be talking about what has happened since the George Floyd, since the protest. What do we move from here as a community? And the other things, we're going to be talking about the big R word, reparations. Because as anyone knows with the ounce of sense, Black Americans were enslaved over 400 years ago. And we have built this country. And we believe that now it is time for us to grow, as Erina say, level up. And that means that there were systematic racist systems that have oppressed us. So therefore, we need to either have those systems undo some of the things they've done or create a leeway where we can just bypass all of that so we can be who we are. So when we have people like Erina, we tune into our intention, we get clarity, we get support, and we intentionally as a community are able to do those things without this oppressive system, then we know we can grow again as a community. Erina Haile, you're the best. You're the most wonderful thing. Thank you so very much. I will let you close out. Any final words?
Thank you so much for having me. I love the reconnection. It's very interesting.
I know.
Regardless of where we come back, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. I think ultimately speaking, like I said, we are one, not just, our relationship, but just like, or Black, or it's just like collectively speaking, we are human. And I think that's
absolutely
so important. We need to stop or ease up on kind of like the whole separation thing. We're going to do our thing. I love the movement. I love looking in from the outside, being here, still trying to, do my thing, signing petitions and things like that. But I love the movement and the momentum that we have stateside with the situation that you're talking about in terms of not only reparation, but just civil rights, really. Like, and I think that we are needed more than ever, especially as people of color now, to really kind of like move this thing forward, just really push it forward. It's kind of like on the brink, just dang it, just push it over.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love what you just said. It's about humanity, right? If you are human and your family member has suffered like great tragedy and trauma, you want to help that family member heal. You want to say, yo, you need help. And not me run in and say, hey, but I need help too, even though I'm healthy and I'm, have several assets, I need help too. No, all help doesn't matter. We need to help that family member that's been traumatized, stigmatized, denigrated, and all of that other stuff. So we could keep on talking, but we gotta go. So thank you so very. Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta look at the camera. I gotta learn this thing. Thank you so very much. Love you very much, and we will talk soon.
And you take care. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.